Everyone, and Happy New Year. This is the first Thursday night class in the new year. And are some of you newcomers to this center, your first time here? Okay, welcome. And are any of you new to meditation? Is this your first? Okay, first experience with meditation. Okay. So we're starting a new class this evening, and the title is How to Meditate. And it's based on a book that I wrote. It's actually been around a long time, since 1984 or so. But just recently, a Danish translation was published, Lære at meditere, something like that. Excuse my accent. So we thought to have a class based on the book, and so we'll begin the class. For the first couple of sessions, we'll look at the basic practice of meditation and some of the basic things you need to know about meditation. And then as time goes on, we'll introduce different kinds of meditation, because in the Tibetan tradition in particular, there are many, many different forms of meditation. And these are for different purposes, and also different people with different personalities, different dispositions will find one meditation more helpful and another not so helpful. So it's good to know different types of meditation, so that hopefully you'll find at least one that suits you, that you enjoy doing and want to continue doing. So tonight, I know some of you have done meditation before, maybe have many years of experience in meditation, but for the newcomers in particular, we'll start with basic information about meditation. And we'll do some meditation together. So I'm not just going to be talking the whole time, but I'll introduce some basic material, and then we'll do some meditation together. And at the end, or some point towards the end, there'll be a chance for you to ask questions if you have any questions. So this topic of meditation it's a big topic. And meditation is not something exclusive to Buddhism. It's found in many different traditions, probably all or most religions and spiritual traditions have some form of meditation. But we're not going to cover all of that information in this class. We'll just be focusing on Buddhist meditation, because that's really all that I'm familiar with. And within Buddhism, it's helpful just to look at the word itself for meditation. In the Tibetan language, the word for meditation is gom, and that has the meaning of familiar, or to become familiar, to familiarize. And so the idea of meditation is that we are making ourselves familiar with certain things. Because the way our mind works is by habit or familiarization. So whatever we are most habituated to or familiar with is what is going to be our experience. So for example, if a person gets angry a lot, some people get angry a lot every day, maybe a few times a day or 100 times a day they get angry. So that person is very familiar with anger. They have like a habit, or I guess we could say a habit or a tendency of getting angry. And so because they're familiar with or habituated to anger, then it comes up again and again. It comes up very easily. And on the other hand, if there's a person who has a habit of being kind and helpful, like they really like to help people and always looking for ways to help people, so they have that kind of habit or that kind of tendency. So maybe a few times a day, 10 times a day, 100 times a day, they're they're involved with other people, helping them with kindness. So for that person, that kind of attitude, that way of behaving is what they are most familiar with. And so that will come up kind of easily and naturally again and again and again. So, um, so how does this relate to meditation? In Buddhism, the purpose purpose of our life, we might say, is to work on ourselves, to try to become a kinder, nicer, better person, better able to help others, having more good qualities to help others, and also to have more positive qualities in our mind, to have more positive ones and less negative ones. So, in other words, to transform ourselves, to become more positive and less negative, more helpful, less harmful. And so, the way we can do that is by making ourselves familiar with positive states of mind. So, that's the real purpose of meditation. It's making ourselves familiar with more positive states of mind, positive thoughts, feelings, attitudes, ways of thinking, ways of feeling. And in Sanskrit language, the term for meditation is bhavana, and that has the meaning of cultivate. So that's a slightly different idea. Cultivate, we talk about, how do you say that in Danish? Durka? Is it Durka? Yeah. Cultivate, to grow. Yeah. To grow, to cultivate. So just like you cultivate a garden, you cultivate flowers or vegetables in your garden. So you work on the soil and the plants and so on to grow these nice flowers and vegetables and so on. So in the same way, um, we can say that meditation is like that. We're trying to cultivate positive thoughts and feelings and qualities within our mind. More love, more kindness, more compassion and wisdom and so forth. So those are two words for meditation in Tibetan language and in Sanskrit language. And basically they have the idea of working on our mind to bring about more positive thoughts and feelings and experiences. And I'd just like to talk a little bit about the mind, because when we practice meditation, we're mainly working with our mind. It's our mind that meditates, and what it is we're working with while we meditate is the mind itself. So mind is a big subject in Buddhism. There's a lot of material about the mind, and but just to give a little bit here, we say in Buddhism that the mind is a non-physical kind of energy. So it's not our brain, and it's not something produced by the brain. So it's something completely non-physical, non-material, meaning it's not made of molecules, atoms, or any kind of physical materials. It doesn't have any physical properties. It can't be seen or touched. It doesn't have weight or color or size. So it's just this non-physical kind of energy. And it's that part of us that knows or feels or experiences things. So it includes our emotions, our thoughts, our memories, our perceptions, seeing, hearing, smelling, taste, touch. So all of those are included in our mind. They are the mind. And the mind is something that's constantly changing. It's not a fixed thing. We shouldn't think of the mind as being something that's sitting inside of us like a machine or like our brain. It's fixed in a particular place, and then it's churning out all these different experiences. So it's not like that. It's more like a flow, a stream, constantly moving, constantly changing, made up of these different experiences that we have, thoughts and feelings and memories and fantasies and perceptions and so forth. So every moment, every nanosecond, there's some kind of experience happening in our mind, and it lasts just a moment, and then the next one comes, and the next one comes. So it's just a series or a continuum of these momentary mental events. So it's not a permanent, fixed, frozen, solid thing. It's constantly moving, constantly changing. So that's why it's nice to think of a river or a stream, which is always moving, always flowing, always changing. So it's more like that. And then within the mind, there are different types of experiences. Some of these, just in a very general way, we can say some are positive, some are negative. And we use those terms to talk about states of mind according to what kind, how they make us feel, and also what kind of effects they have. So, positive states of mind are those that have good effects on ourselves and others. For example, love. Love is one of the most positive states of mind that we have, because when we have it, when we feel love, there's love in our mind or heart, however you want to call it, then it's a very beautiful feeling. We ourselves feel really nice, really good. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone agrees. It's a great feeling to have. We'd like to have it more often. So it's good for us. It makes us feel good. But it's also good for other people, because when we are in a loving state of mind, the way we talk to people, the way we treat them, and do things with them and so forth, it probably makes them feel good as well. They feel loved and cared for and appreciated, and that makes them feel happy. So it's something that makes you happy, and it also makes other people happy. And it's a very important quality in the spiritual path if one wants to attain higher states of mind and so on. So love is one of the essential qualities we cultivate, we develop along the path. So that's just an example of a positive state of mind, a positive mental state. And then there are other mental states that are called negative, and that's because, again, the way they make us feel and the way they make other people feel. So one of the best examples is anger or hatred. So when that is in our mind, when we're feeling that, then we probably don't feel so good. It's not a pleasant state of mind. We feel agitated, and it's suffering. It's painful to feel that way. And then it can also cause pain to others, because if we are angry, it can affect the way we talk, the way we behave, the way we treat people, the way we look at people, and so on. And we know what that's like when we're on the receiving end of somebody else's anger. So it's not a very nice experience. We feel scared. We may be angry ourselves. So so because that state of mind has adverse effects or bad effects on you when you're feeling it, on other people when they're around you, then we say that is a negative state of mind. So that's the basic criteria for positive versus negative states of mind. So all of us have both. We're, we possess both types of experiences. And the real purpose of meditation in Buddhism is to try to increase the positive states of mind, to have more of those in our mind, not just when we're meditating, but also outside of meditation, in our life as much as we can. More love, more kindness, more compassion, more wisdom. And try to reduce the negative ones. Have less anger, less hatred, less jealousy and pride and greed and so forth. So that's the idea of meditation, to bring about a transformation of the mind so there's more positive and less negative. But this is something that takes time. It's not an instant thing. It takes time, gradually over time. The more we work on it, the more we can have more of the positive ones and less of the negative ones. And then there's an end point to all of this, according to Buddhism. There's the state of mind where all the negative experiences have been completely eliminated, cleared away. They're not there anymore. And all the positive ones have been fully developed, perfected. So they are there all the time. So that's the state we call enlightenment, the state the Buddha achieved. And we have the potential, the ability to attain that state as well. Anybody who has a mind, it's like the potential of our mind is to become like that, to become free of all that's negative and painful and unpleasant, and fully developed in all that's beautiful and positive and beneficial for ourselves and others. But again, that's something that takes time. We can't do that overnight or in 1 week or 1 year. Many years, many lifetimes. But anyway, as you're working on this kind of practice, then you definitely see changes in yourself. You see your positive thoughts and feelings increasing and the negative ones decreasing. Okay, so maybe that's enough for introduction to meditation. If you have questions, then we'll take care of those later, because I did want to talk about actual practice of meditation and then do some practice together. So one thing about the practice of meditation is our posture, the physical posture. And there's a recommended posture that's been used for thousands of years in the Asian traditions. And if we can sit in this posture, it's said to be very helpful for having a good meditative state. So I'll describe that posture, but I'll also mention alternate ways of sitting, because not everybody can sit this way. It's difficult. So the posture is called the 7-point posture. It has 7 different points to it. So one is with regard to the legs. So sitting cross-legged, if you can sit cross-legged, that's really good. But if you can't, it's fine to sit on a chair, or also these kind of little stools. Some people use these. And if you are sitting cross-legged, you can have your legs crossed in whatever way is comfortable for you. The best posture is said to be what's called a full lotus. That's where you have your feet on the thigh of the opposite leg. But not many people can sit like that. So if you can't sit like that, then you can have what's called a half lotus, which involves one foot on the thigh of the opposite leg and the other foot on the ground. Or if that's not possible, just have both feet on the ground. So you can work with that and just find what is most comfortable for you. The reason the cross-legged position is recommended is because if we are sitting that way, it helps our back to be more straight. And that's actually the most important aspect of the sitting posture, is keeping your back straight. So whether you're sitting on the floor or you're sitting on a chair, try to have a straight back. The reason for that is because they say the mental energy flows through our body on psychic channels. The main channel, what's called the central channel, runs through the center of our body, just in front of the spine. And so if our spine is straight, then that psychic channel is straight, and that means the mind will be able to flow most smoothly and easily. But this is something you can see for yourself. For example, if you're in a conversation with somebody, or you're listening to a lecture, or anyway, something you want to concentrate on, you might notice that if you're sitting with your back straight, you can concentrate better, as opposed to sitting, in a kind of slouched way, or lying down, or leaning over. Your mind isn't as clear when your back isn't straight. But then some people have trouble with their back. So if you have some kind of back problem or injury and you can't sit perfectly straight, then just find whatever position works best for you. So then, although the back needs to be straight, the shoulders should be relaxed. So you let your shoulders drop and not hunch like this. So let them drop and be relaxed. And then in the Tibetan tradition, we are advised to have our hands in our lap, with right on top of left, like this. So your fingers are lined up, palms facing upwards, and then the 2 thumbs touching. So this is said to be good for the flow of energy in the body. It's most conducive. So you have your hands like that, and then just resting in your lap. But if you've learned another way of holding your hands, like some people meditate with their hands on their knees, and if you are more comfortable doing that, then I think that's okay too. And then the mouth should be relaxed, and mouth and jaw relaxed. So don't clench your teeth. Just let your teeth be natural. And ideally, when we meditate, we should breathe in and out through our nose, our nostrils, rather than the mouth. So, unless your nose is blocked and you have to breathe through your mouth, it's best to keep the mouth closed. And it's also a good idea to have the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth behind the upper teeth. So just let the tongue rest up there. And the reason for that is if we get into a concentrated state of mind, any movement in the body can be somewhat disturbing or distracting, and that includes swallowing. Um, so it's good not to have to swallow too much when you're meditating, and placing the tongue behind the upper teeth like that will reduce the need to swallow. So that's the benefit of that. And then the eyes. Now, we might feel more comfortable closing our eyes completely when we meditate, because then that shuts out all visual objects and we won't be distracted by things that we see. But there's a little bit of a danger in closing our eyes, because if we close our eyes, then we might start to become sleepy. Like, when we go to bed at night or we take a nap, we close our eyes and quickly fall asleep. And ideally, we don't want to fall asleep in meditation. We want to stay awake. So to prevent sleepiness, you can have your eyes open partially, just a little bit, enough so there's some light coming in, and then have your eyes looking downwards onto your lap or the floor in front of you. So, so you can try that, but if you find it too difficult, some people find it hard keeping their eyes in that partially open position. It gets easier. The more you do it, then the easier it gets. So it's good to keep working at it. But if it's too difficult, too distracting, and you're just not able to do it, then it's okay to let your eyes close. But if you do that, just try to be aware if you're starting to fall asleep or not. And if you are starting to fall asleep, you can stop that by partially opening the eyes. Because the idea is, if there's light coming into our eyes, that helps us to be more awake and alert. Does that make sense? So just try it out and see what works. So those are the points of the posture. I'll repeat them again just before we start. And again, if because of any injuries or disabilities or difficulties you may have with your body, if you find it difficult to sit in this way, you can make adjustments. You can, like I say, sit in a chair or use a bench. Because it is important to be comfortable and not in agony. if your body is in agony, you're trying to sit in this perfect position, but you have so much pain, you can't even meditate. So that doesn't make sense. So it is important to find a comfortable posture. So you might have to make some adjustments and a bit of a compromise to find a posture that's comfortable for you, so you're not in pain. But still good for meditation. And also with regard to cushions, different people have different needs. Some people need a higher cushion, or some people might use several cushions underneath them. Others need a smaller cushion. So you could try different kinds of cushions. And it's also good to have some kind of mat under you, because if you're sitting on a hard surface, I don't know, for me, that brings on what we call pins and needles, your legs going numb. which can be somewhat uncomfortable. So it's good to sit on a soft surface, but not too soft. If it's too soft, then you're sinking, and then, you might fall asleep. So feel free to experiment with different modalities, different kinds of cushions or chairs or heights of cushion and so forth, and until you find what works best for you. And it's also a good idea to try to find a posture that you can sit in for the duration of your meditation without having to move too much. Because every time we move our body, then the mind will be somewhat disturbed. So it's good to try not to move too much, but that doesn't mean you can't move at all. I mean, in some traditions, like I heard in the Zen tradition, the emphasis is to be perfectly still and not move at all. My teachers say it's okay to move. It's okay to change your position if you need to in the middle of a meditation session to be more comfortable, but not move too much. Yeah, because the more still your body can be, the more still your mind can be. So our body and mind affect each other. Okay, so then I thought for the meditation, we'll do meditation on the breath. This means using the breath as a kind of focal point for our mind, our awareness, our attention. So what we do here is we're training our mind to stay still as much as possible, still and calm and focused and concentrated rather than wandering all over the place. And we can use different objects for training in concentration, but the breath is a good object to use because it's already there. It's already happening. We don't have to think of anything or visualize anything or put anything in front of us to look at. We just have to focus on what's already happening every moment in our body. And also focusing on the breath has a natural calming effect on the mind. Okay, so it helps your mind to calm down. So it's a good way to calm down and relax and de-stress. But the real purpose of meditation isn't just to relax and de-stress. It's actually to become more aware of our mind and then start working on our mind. And so that's the meditation we'll do. And I'll start by leading you in a kind of relaxation exercise, because it is good to try to be relaxed as much as possible. And sometimes at the start of a session, we might have some tension in our body that we may not even be aware of. So by going through the body, checking to see if there's any tension, relaxing the tension, that can really help us to be more relaxed physically. And if we're more relaxed physically, it's easier to be more relaxed mentally as well. Sorry, my mouth is dry. Okay, so let's get ourselves into this position for meditation. So have your legs crossed in a comfortable position. Or if you're sitting on a chair, have both feet flat on the floor, not one leg crossed over another. And then try to straighten your back, but not in a way that your back and shoulders are tight, so that your shoulders drop and be relaxed. And let your mouth and jaw be relaxed. Mouth closed and the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth behind the upper teeth. And then the eyes, if you can, leave the eyes partially open, looking down on to your lap or the floor in front of you. Hands in your lap with the right on top of the left, palms upwards, thumbs touching. Also, with your arms, try not to press your arms against your sides, but leave some space between your arms and the sides of your body. So now I'm going to take you through the body, starting with the top of the head and going down to the toes and the fingertips, and just mention different parts of the body. And as I mention those parts of the body, just put your awareness there. And if you notice any tension in that area, see if you can let it go, let it relax, let it flow away. So start with the top of your head. Feel the top of your head. Let go of any tension there might be there. And then let your awareness slip down into your forehead. Feel your forehead. Relax any tension you might have in your forehead. Let your forehead be smooth and free of worry lines. Next, feel your eyes and relax the muscles around the eyes and behind the eyes. And then relax the remaining muscles in your face. All the muscles we use when we make facial expressions. Just let all those muscles relax. But some teachers recommend that when you meditate, you leave a little bit of a smile on your mouth. So you could try that, see if that helps you to be in a more relaxed state of mind. Next, feel the side of your head, the right side of your head. Relax any tension that may be there. And do the same with the back of your head. And then the left side of the head. Now see if you can go inside of your head with your awareness. If you notice any tension inside of your head. And if there is any tension, see if you can let it go, let it melt and flow away. And try to let your whole head, inside and outside, be as relaxed and free of tension as possible. Then let your awareness move down into your neck and throat. Relax any tension you might find there. And then move down into your shoulders, the upper part of your back, shoulder blades, shoulder muscles. So that's a place where we often have tension, tightness. So if there is any tension there, see if you can let it go, let it melt, flow away. Then let your awareness continue to move down through your back, relaxing the muscles, letting go of any tension. So do that with the middle part of your back. And the lower part of the back. So again, try to have your back as relaxed and free of tension as possible. But if you're not able to completely relax and let go of tension, don't worry about that. Just do the best you can. Let go of as much tension as you can. Now move your awareness to the front part of your body, starting with the chest. If there's any tension in your chest, let it go, let it melt, flow away. And let your awareness continue to move down through the front part of your body, including the inner parts, the organs in your chest and your abdomen. So go all the way down to the lower part of the abdomen, the pelvic area. Just letting go of any tension. Now the legs, starting with the right leg. So let your awareness move into your right thigh, the upper part of the leg. Relax any tension there. Relax the knee. Relax the lower part of the right leg. And then the right ankle and foot, all the way down to the toes. And then shift your awareness to the left leg, starting with the upper part of the leg. Relax any tension in that area. And then the left knee. and the lower part of the leg. Then the ankle and foot all the way down to the toes. Now, what's left are the arms. So start with the right arm. Bring your awareness to the upper part of the right arm. Relax any tension there. And then the lower part of the arm. And then the wrist, hand, fingers. And then shift your awareness to the left arm, starting with the upper part of the arm. And then the elbow, lower arm, the hand and fingers. So try your best to keep your body as relaxed and free of tension as possible for the remainder of the time that we're meditating. Now put your awareness, your attention on your breathing, and just let the breath flow in and out in a natural rhythm. Don't try to force the breath in a natural way. Don't try to control it or regulate it. So just allow your body to breathe naturally. Sometimes the breath might be faster or sometimes slower, and that's okay. Just don't interfere with it. Just let the body breathe. So we're using the breath as the focal object for our attention, our awareness. So that means just trying your best to stay aware of each breath, each inhalation as you're breathing in, each exhalation as you're breathing out. So you can put your awareness at whatever point you can feel the breath most easily. It could be your chest or your abdomen or your nostrils. So it doesn't matter so much where you watch the breath, but the important thing is to stay with the breath. Stay aware of the inhalation and exhalation of each breath, one breath after another. So our mind is not accustomed to staying focused on just one thing for very long. So you'll probably find the mind wandering away from the breath to other things, thoughts that come up in your mind, memories, plans for the future, sounds in the room or outside. So there's all kinds of other things that the mind can get distracted to, and that's completely normal. Don't be surprised if that happens. Just when you notice your mind has become distracted, it's paying attention to something other than the breath. As soon as you can, let go of that other object and come back to the breath. And you might find it helpful to count your breaths. It helps to stay focused on the breath. So, one way to do that is say to yourself, breathing in, breathing out, 1, breathing in, breathing out, 2, and continue counting up to 5. If you're new to meditation, it's better to just count up to 5 and then go back to 1. If you're more experienced, you can count further up to 10 or up to 20 as you wish. So just continue like that on your own. Try to stay relaxed, keep your body relaxed as much as you can. Let your breath flow in and out in a natural rhythm. And then with your mind, your awareness, be aware of the breath coming in, going out, one breath after another. And when you notice your mind has gone away from the breath to something else, just gently disengage from that other object. Come back to the breath. One thing is helpful in dealing with distractions like thoughts is to just make a mental note when you notice such things. So if a thought comes up, you can just say to yourself, thought or thinking, and then let it go and come back to the breath. A sound, you can just say sound, and then let it go and come back to the breath. So we're not trying to stop our thoughts or sounds. We're just trying to learn to not be distracted by them. To just let them be there, but mainly focus on our breath coming in, going out. So we'll do another attempt at meditation after the break. We usually have a break around this time. Are there any burning questions anyone would like to ask before we have the break? Sorry? Yeah? Mhm.
Should you speak a little louder, please?
There are certain things that have this hook, which is called shepa, into the hooked quality.
Mhm.
And anger is one of them, which can be hooked on.
Mm. You mean attached to anger? Sure, we can get attached to anything, even if it's very painful and unhealthy. Yeah, yeah. So that's part of the idea of habituation. You know, we get habituated to and familiar with. But the good thing is we can change that. We can unlearn that kind of habit and learn more positive ones. Yeah, yeah.
I just reflect a lot on I I feel as if I kind of visit my heart, and then I suddenly come into a visit of, or coming home, or I don't know if you, and then I turn very happy, and this happiness I'm kind of unfamiliar with, and then um, I'm just reflecting on it, this feeling of being unfamiliar. Um, do you understand?
Um, are you saying that happiness is something unusual, something you don't experience very often? Mm.
I just wonder these days. Uh, it's something about, I should say, being there. And if I suddenly visit the feeling of being persistent, being, um, it's just unfamiliar. It's not a safe feeling, only because it's not familiar.
Mhm. I don't know what to say. I mean, yeah, when we practice meditation, we can sometimes have experiences that are unusual and unfamiliar, like we haven't experienced them before. And that's natural. That's a natural part of the path. We're trying to actually purify and transform our mind. So that can sometimes bring about unusual experiences. But we also, I mean, we do have to be careful in one sense that we stay on the path, and not just get sidetracked to things that aren't going to help us get more enlightened. So that's why they say it's best when you practice meditation to have at least someone you can get guidance from who's going to help you in your practice. And also, they say study is very important. They say we really need to study the path so that we know where we're going. Just like before you go if you're going on a journey somewhere, you want to go to Moscow. I just came from Moscow, so that's why that popped up in my mind. But anyway, you have to, before you just set out, go there. You have to know, well, which direction do I go, and which route do I take. So it's similar with the spiritual path. If we want to reach a certain goal, the state of enlightenment, we have to really know how to get there and follow the road signs, not get lost. But yeah, they do say that sometimes we can have unusual experiences, but that's a good thing. And so enlightenment is a state we haven't been to before, so it is something unusual, something unfamiliar. Okay, let's have a break. for about 10 minutes, and then later we'll have more time for questions in case anyone has. So if you haven't been here before, we have drinks and snacks upstairs. So please, and a restroom. So please help yourself. a number of kind of problems or obstacles that can occur when we practice meditation. So I'll talk about some of them tonight, some of the more common ones, and then as we go on in the next couple of weeks, I'll talk about some others. So probably for us Westerners, the most common problem or obstacle is the mind being distracted. We try to focus on the breath, or if you're doing another kind of meditation, there would be some other object that you're focusing on. So we try to focus on that object, but then thoughts come and we find ourselves getting distracted. Or it could be other kinds of things like sounds. If there's noise, then we can be distracted by that. Or we might be distracted by other feelings in our body, like sensations of pain or itchiness or heat or cold. So with these other occurrences, whether they're internal or external, the mind will get distracted to those other objects, and that means it's not focused on the breath. So first of all, we have to understand that we can't stop all these things from happening. We can't stop all the noise in the world, and we can't stop our internal noise, all the blah 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 in our mind. So it's best to just give up any expectation that your thoughts are going to stop, that the noise is going to stop, that everything is going to stop, and you'll be able to just stay focused on the breath. So what we need to do is learn how to let those other objects be there and not be distracted by them, not be disturbed by them. So I think this is something we probably already have some experience of, because we've all been students, and maybe some of you are still students. And when we are studying, like if you have an exam coming up, right, tomorrow, next week, you have to study. So that means you have to focus, you have to concentrate on, the material. And there will probably be noises going on, and people around doing things. And also your own mind will come up with other things maybe you'd rather be doing than studying. So we learn to just push those things aside, ignore them, and carry on with the studies, right? And also, if we're doing something that we enjoy, like if you're reading a book or watching something, a movie or some TV program that you really, really enjoy, so in that kind of situation, you're also able to just stay focused and not be distracted. And if you're really into what it is you're doing, then it's almost like everything else just fades away, everything else just disappears, and it's just you and your book, or you and your movie, or your football game, or whatever it is. So I think we all do have that experience, at least sometimes, of being able to just stay focused. So what we need to do is learn how to do that in meditation, which is it's probably more challenging, because if you're reading a really interesting book or watching a really interesting film, then it's really fascinating and it's easy to stay focused on it. Whereas in meditation, right, if you're meditating on the breath, for example, it's not quite as exciting as as a movie or a book. So the mind can quickly get bored with the breath just coming in, going out, coming in, going out. And then it's looking for something more interesting, something more entertaining. So if a thought pops up, or a memory pops up, or a sound pops up, the mind wants to run off to that because it's something more interesting than the breath. So I think one thing that is helpful is to have a sense of purpose, a sense of, why am I doing this? Why am I sitting here watching my breath coming in and going out? So again, that's why it's useful to do some study, to have some knowledge as to why am I doing this? Because the more you understand about, like I say, in Buddhism, the whole purpose of practicing meditation is to transform our mind and bring our mind to a higher state. And so if you have an understanding of that, like the path to enlightenment and enlightenment itself, and you can see that as a worthy or worthwhile thing to do, oh yeah, I really want to do that. That sounds good. It's good for me. It's good for others. It's good for the world. So if you have a strong sense of purpose, in doing meditation, meditation is the main means or method for bringing about this kind of mental transformation. So then you know why you're sitting there and why you're trying to focus your mind. Whereas if you don't really know why you're doing it, then it's a little harder. Does that make sense? So you might be inspired by learning more about the Buddhist path, but another source might be Western science, because there's been a lot of research done on meditation and the benefits of meditation, and apparently I'm not a scientist and I haven't looked into all of this. It's just what I've heard. So that could be another thing that might inspire you, the research that shows the benefits of focusing the mind, paying attention, and not letting your mind just go wild all over the place. So if you look into that and, see, yeah, this is a worthwhile thing to do, a good thing to do, then that will help you to keep your mind more focused on the practice and not let it just wander all over the place. So there's really no magical, easy method to deal with distractions other than to just train your mind to keep coming back to your object of meditation, whether it's the breath or whatever else is your object of meditation. You just have to keep coming back again and again and again, and that's part of the practice. And people sometimes feel like if they find their mind wandering away again and again and having to bring it back to the breath again and again, then they can sometimes feel, oh, I can't do it. I'm not good at this. Yeah. But actually, that's a wrong understanding, a wrong interpretation. In fact, I remember one time somebody saying to me, I can't meditate. I just can't do it. I said, why? He said, my mind keeps wandering away. So he seemed to think that if you're practicing meditation, your mind will never wander away. Your mind will just be focused on the object continuously, and there won't be any distractions, any thoughts coming. So actually, that's not a correct understanding. I mean, they do say at a certain point, after doing a lot of practice, you can reach a state where you don't have any more thoughts coming. You don't even hear sounds. You're really, really concentrated. But you only get to that state by doing a lot of practice. And while you're on the way, while you're working towards that state, you will have thoughts coming, and you will have sounds coming, and you will have all these other things coming. So it's not that they're going to stop. They're going to, everything's going to stop just because you're meditating. So you just have to learn to let those things happen and not be distracted by them, not be bothered by them. Similar to like those examples I mentioned, if you're studying or if you're watching a movie or a football game or something, having a conversation with someone, there's going to be noise going on. There's going to be other thoughts popping up in your mind, and you simply have to let them go and ignore them and come back to what it is you're concentrating on. So if you're doing that, I mean, to the best of your ability, of course, sometimes the mind can get totally lost in some train of thought before you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be meditating. I'm supposed to be watching my breath. And then you come back to it. So as long as you're trying to bring your mind back to the object of meditation, again and again when it wanders away, as long as you're doing that, you are meditating. That is meditation. And so we need to have that understanding so that we don't become discouraged. Maybe you're not yet discouraged because you're just starting. but, yeah, but after a while, it's easy to become kind of discouraged if you notice, oh, I still have thoughts coming up and I still get distracted by sounds. So don't worry. We need to, be confident in ourselves and feel positive about just the fact that you're trying. Just the fact that you're trying to sit down and concentrate, focus your mind, sit still, and not let your mind be totally everywhere. Just trying to do that. That itself is a good thing to do. That itself is meditation. So I'm just saying that to try to encourage you not to be discouraged, not to get discouraged. And because if we do become discouraged, and you don't deal with that state of mind, then there's the danger of giving it up. People do that sometimes. They start meditating, they try it for a while, and then they think, oh, this isn't working. I can't do it. It's too hard. And then they give it up. So it is challenging. It is difficult, but we just have to keep going and keep trying. And if we do keep trying, then we will get the benefits of meditation. But if you give up right away in the beginning, you won't get those benefits. So anyway, the way to deal with distractions is to just keep coming back to the object again and again. And be patient. We need certain qualities. One is patience, being patient. And also perseverance. Like, don't give up. Just keep doing it. And it will get better. And then just quickly I'll mention one other problem that can sometimes happen, and that is sleepiness. And I think, yeah, especially at this time of the day, if you had a busy day, you've been working all day, and this might be the first time you're kind of sitting down and relaxing. So then all the tiredness can catch up with you, and you might find yourself, as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, you're nodding off. So that's a common problem. And even very experienced meditators can still find themselves feeling sleepy, especially after eating. So it's actually best not to try to meditate right after a meal. Better to leave an hour at least or more before you practice. And also, if it's too warm, if the temperature in the room is too warm and you're having too many warm clothes on, the heat can also bring on sleepiness. So it's better to have it a little bit cool and not too hot. And other things that can help would be, again, make sure your back is straight. Because if you're kind of, your body is slouching, then that can lead to sleepiness. And make sure you get enough sleep at night too. If you're living a really busy life and you're not getting enough sleep, then when you sit down and meditate, that the sleepiness can catch up with you. So make sure you're having a healthy lifestyle, getting enough sleep and rest, and so on. And then the eyes. If you have your eyes closed when you're meditating, that can make it more possible for sleepiness to happen. So if it does happen, then you can counteract it by opening your eyes a little bit. You can even open your eyes more and have them wide open. And just look at a spot in front of you. Just not look around, but just look at one thing. So that can definitely help. And also my experience, because I struggle with this sometimes in retreat, doing a lot of meditation every day. If you just resist it, if you just keep, trying to stay awake, eventually it passes. It's not that you have no choice but to just go and take a nap. You can just keep sitting there and trying to keep yourself awake, and then it passes. The sleepiness passes, and you're like wide awake again. So that's also an option. Just, yeah. Another thing they say in the Tibetan tradition is imagine light. Think of light. So you can imagine your head filled with light, like a bright light. Sunlight is inside your head and filling yourself up with light. So fill your head, your body with light. And also make sure that it's not too dark. I mean, it's not good to be too bright, to have really bright lights on when you're meditating. But if it's too dark, that might also be conducive for sleepiness. So have a certain amount of light. It can help you stay awake. Okay, so those are things you can try to counteract sleepiness. And then they say if you all those things, you try all those things and you're still feeling sleepy, then it might be best to take a break. Get up, splash some cold water on your face, have some cool air, wake yourself up. Give yourself a little break and then come back and sit down and try again. Okay. Should we do a little bit more? Another 10 minutes of practice? Okay, so once again, try to sit with a straight back, but let your shoulders relax. Have your hands in your lap, palms up, right on top of left, thumbs touching. Let your mouth and jaw be relaxed, and have the tip of your tongue on the roof of the mouth behind the upper teeth. And if you can, keep your eyes open a little bit, but if that's too difficult, you can let them close. But if you find yourself feeling sleepy, then you can wake yourself up by opening your eyes a little bit. And now put your awareness on your breathing. Let the breath be natural rhythm. Don't control or regulate your breath. Just let it be. And try to be aware of each inhalation of the breath and then each exhalation of the breath, as well as any pauses in between. So when we're paying attention to the breath, what we're actually noticing are sensations in the body associated with the breath. So you can do that in whatever way is easier for you or works best for you. Just be aware of whatever sensations associated with the breath are most easy to notice, easy to stay focused on. And you can count your breaths if you find that helpful. Count each full breath as 1, count up to 5 or up to 10 as you wish, and start again at 1 when you reach that number. And then be on the lookout for thoughts, memories, thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, thoughts of other places, your work, people, and so on. So normal to have all these thoughts coming in, because this is what our mind is doing all day long. It's having thoughts. So they're not going to stop just because we're meditating. So you can't stop your thoughts, but you can let them go. You can just notice them and say, oh, thought, that's a thought. And then let it go and come back to the breath. There's just a few minutes left. If anyone has a question you'd like to ask, if there's anything not clear, or I would like to suggest or recommend that you try to do this practice on your own from now until next week, at least 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because meditation is something we have to keep practicing. It's similar, like if you want to learn a musical instrument, you go for lessons, and then you're supposed to go home and practice on your own. And that way you get good. The more you do it, the better you get. So here we're like, the musical instrument is our mind. So we're learning to play the mind and do something, make something beautiful with our mind. So I can't force you, but it's just if you do want to learn to meditate and get better at meditation, you have to practice on your own. So if you can't do it every day, then at least a few times between now and next week. And you can, there's no fixed time of day. Usually early morning is good because then it's more quiet, and if you had a good night's sleep, your mind will be more sort of refreshed and fresh, and it's in a better state than trying to do it at the end of the day when you're probably tired and a lot of thoughts in the mind. But some people are more night people, so in the morning they may not feel very awake and alert. They may feel better at night. So you can just try and find what time works best for you. Um, so, okay. Thank you.